Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday, October 24th. Welcome to the school board meeting. I'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes.
All right, communications.
All right, we'll start first with the response to public comment. At the school board meeting on October 10th, a community member requested that the school board begin their meetings with a prayer. The response to public comment is that the Establishment Clause prohibits the school board from leading a communal prayer to begin a school board meeting. Case law makes the distinction between a legislative body and a school board. A communal prayer to begin a legislative session is allowed. A communal prayer to begin a school board meeting is prohibited.
Okay, on to item 5B, capital project summary.
We wanted to have some opportunity here for our Assistant Superintendent, Joe Conley, to provide an overview of the capital projects, a summary of the progress report, basically, and also preview of some of the action items that we'll have on tonight's agenda.
How's it going, guys? Good deal. All right, well, I'm going to jump right into it. So you probably read the capital summary report, but I'll go through and walk through each one of these. The first on the list is the architect and engineer services RFQ that went out. The RFQ went out for advertisement on August 23rd and the 30th. It was posted in the Spokesman, the DJC, and the Yakima Herald. Statement of qualifications was due on September 13th. We received interest from 8 different firms. We reviewed qualifications in those packets on the 20th. And the selected firm was Design West, with a request that the track and field consultant work be completed by Bernardo Wills because they brought a lot of experience. The contract and fee proposal is in front of you tonight for approval. The junior high bleacher project, we received board approval for that for September 12th. We talked about having that possibly installed during spring break. Unfortunately, they had a change in their schedule, so we're going to have to push that back timeline to the summer of 2024. The well upgrade at Mountain View, we are actually going to go out for rebid at the end of November, working with HLA on this project. We're thinking that we should be able to get actually a lot more interest this time since we're doing it pretty far ahead of when that's going to be completed this summer. So we're hoping that we get some drillers interested this time.
And Joe, do you want to share for the audience the first time there was a request for proposal or bids?
Correct. Yeah, we went out for an RFQ. Gosh, it was in March, and we actually got no bids in regards to that. There was a lot of drillers that already had projects set for almost a year, so we really couldn't get anybody to be interested in that project. So unfortunately, we didn't get any. So we're hoping this time around we get a few more. Hopefully, the same type of thing that we got for the A&E services. Roof upgrade. We have quotes already, but I'm actually going to wait for Design West once the contract is approved with them to do an architectural review to ensure all items are addressed before I bring that to you, just in case there's anything that Tremco did not catch in their assessment. So I want to make sure that also gets an architectural engineer review. Okay. The quote is from Tremco Weatherproofing Technologies, and that is a state contract through both KCDA and Omnia. We used both state contracts in order to get the best quotes for that. Field track and press box and bleachers. This is up for your approval tonight. Design West brought on Bernardo Wills, as long as this contract is approved, on board, and we'll begin design services once this contract is approved. I'm hoping in the next week or so. We are hoping for a project start date of this to be May 27th, earlier if possible. We're trying to wait for track season to kind of end. We don't want to disturb that, but at the same time, we're hoping to get done early so we can get a completion date by hopefully mid-August. Property acquisition. I am currently working with CBRE. We're also working with some local real estate brokers as well. There is no additional cost to CBRE to do a large-scale report of the available parcels in our area, and we need to review those for potential for school district use. So we're just going to get a large scale. We'll bring that to the board, let you know what kind of parcels and properties are out there, and then you guys can kind of look at that and see what we're interested in. All other projects are to be determined at the moment as we await design review, and that includes chillers, boilers, the restroom, parking lot, ADA upgrades at the auditorium, and the piping upgrade at the middle level campus. The website, I created the website as far as there is, will be updated with all this information. So you can go to the business section of that and you can see the capital project tracking tool. You can see a number of different contracts on there and proposals and so on and so forth. So if you ever have any questions, that is a good place to go and receive that information. And that concludes my capital summary report as far as communications go.
Questions from the board?
Well, so far as we know then, what you've already started or tried to start, hoping that we'll approve contracts and those kind of things, is going to be done to minimize the possibility of lack of availability at the start of the next school year. Did I understand that right?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The contracts and the timelines you've got set up for the different projects
Correct.
is going to minimize the chances of unavailability at the beginning of the school.
That is correct. The faster we can procure materials as far as the turf and the track go, we do need to get that procured as far as getting a timeline of a start date of May 27th. So the faster, the better.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But just for clarification, so the start is May 27th, and the plan is to have it completed in time for the fall
That
sports
is correct.
season.
Correct. I'll work with Jeff Jameson on maybe scheduling some away games initially to start the season, just in case. You just never know.
Play the first 6 games away.
Anything else from the board?
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Conley. Great job in preparing all that information. I know there's a lot to put together in a short period of time, and we're certainly urgent. We have an urgent need to see these things in place by next year.
Yes,
My
sir.
question is on one of the items that I think is not going to be addressed right away, and that's the mid-level campus, the ADA for that auditorium
That's great.
adjustment. Have you been, I know you said that's to be determined, but have you had any luck with any information at all on that project?
No, I'm actually gonna work with Design West on that. So once they actually get, like I said, once a contract is approved, it's allowed for me to start having some of those conversations regarding design, what is needed, and so on and so forth, and obviously stay within the budget that we've actually estimated. So once the contract is approved, it actually kickstarts a whole bunch of things for me.
And the main reason I ask that is hearing you say that some of the other projects, we want to get them done, so get the materials, and so we're not
Of course.
experiencing delay. And so this is one I'm thinking has a greater potential for a delay, but also has a greater, I think, a sense of urgency. If we're going to use that at all, we want to be able to.
I'll have Design West on my calendar for quite some time, very quickly. Like I said, once this contract is approved, I'll work with them and I'll put them on my calendar regarding a number of different things.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. All right, this evening we have our student representatives are here. Seniors Magnus Bolton and junior Ava Ferguson. Ava is going to provide the ASB, high school ASB report for us.
Okay, hi. So within the last time we presented, a lot of things have happened. So the West Valley Rams had a fundraiser for the Maui Fire Relief Fund. We raised $1,169.91 through bracelet sales. 471 bracelets were sold, so that's pretty cool. The Rams also began their annual October Pink Month fundraising for breast cancer awareness. We sold T-shirts and crew necks during lunch and had some contests for raising money for breast cancer awareness. Homecoming was a success. The theme was Glow All Out. Our Hoko King and Queen were Abby Peppers and Jay Adams Ray. They led our school in our first dance of the year, and we sold 989 tickets, 106 guest tickets, and 149 free House Bill 1660 tickets. From ticket sales, we made $6,400. Another example of how the House Bill 1660 is impacting our students in ASB is card sales. ASB sales fund most of the extracurricular activities in the high school. Important revenue, having a high school ASB card allows our students free entry to home contests or free or discounted entrance to activities. We're thrilled that more students have ASBs and can access activities and sports for free, but those free ASB limits the fund that we have to host those same activities. So this year we've sold 325 free ASBs, and then 703 ASBs were purchased, and there's 1,583 active students in Skyward. So that's a pretty good majority of people who have ASBs currently. After collecting some initial data during the month of September, we are working with the kitchen to work out how we can be most helpful in forecasting which entrees run out at lunch, because a lot of the times in second lunch, some of the entrees that are said they're going to be an option have run out, and so kids aren't getting either the option that they wanted to eat or the only option that they can eat. So we're working with the kitchen to figure out what we can do to make that better. Our seniors went to the college and career fair at the Sundome, so they got lots of knowledge about what they can do with their future and things to think about. Our Rams are ranked 6th in the state in slow pitch and 3rd in the state in cross country. Our leadership team attended the Evolve Leadership Conference this month, and they came back with new ideas to help bring our school together. We are looking forward to implementing the low or no cost ideas that help our students and staff create those moments to become good memories. The PSAT was on October 18th. This was a great chance for our sophomores to practice their test-taking skills, and the all-district choir concert in the high school gym was well attended and received good reviews. And then here are upcoming things that are coming. Sorry, that one's a little irrelevant right now, so I'm not gonna read that one. Marching band competes on the 7th, the 21st, and the 28th, so make sure you catch their competition that is coming up. And JROTC is busy planning the Veterans Day Assembly on Thursday, November 9th. Winter sports signups have begun, and our fall sports head into their last competitions of postseason. Some of our high school students have been working with the middle level campus cast and crew to bring Frozen the musical to the junior high stage. Ticket sales are going to strong online. Purchase ASAP, or you might miss out because I think they might already be sold out. So I think that's it.
Great. I have a couple questions, and I don't necessarily expect you to have any answers, but I'm particularly intrigued by the House Bill 1660 and the ASB sales, and the we have 325, so that's about $8,100 of revenue that the ASB is missing out on. So I guess my questions are problems. I mean, I don't know if it's a problem, but obviously you're down revenue. So you've identified the issue, but is there any further conversation that you're going to have about addressing that issue in future years for future classes? And that's maybe more of a rhetorical question, and I'm going to volunteer myself to help you, and maybe volunteer Mr. Conley to help the ASB strategize this a little bit more, because I agree. We want the students to participate. We want to eliminate barriers to participation, increases belonging at school, all of the things. And in an $80+ million budget, I'm just going to say out loud, I think we can probably try to figure out $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, we're already working with Kristen Johnson.
Okay.
Johnson on all that stuff. Me and Kristen have been working together for the past year, so we've already solved some of those things.
Yeah.
Some of the shortfalls. And so we're working on that, and we're continuing to work on that in the future. So
Great. Well, I guess I'm asking more rhetorical questions, but I want to help. I will do anything that I can to help you guys address this issue. And if there's some support that you need from the board, I want to extend that invitation to work on that with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions or any other comments from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we're going to have a presentation by our Executive Director of Innovation, Jed Waters. It says it's FAFSA. It's really about increasing awareness of financial aid for our students as they graduate from high school and the opportunities that are available. It really came to our attention when we looked at our data in the data summit, and you have the most up-to-date data in your board packet. So we've been at about 54% of our seniors completing the FAFSA form. There's also a WASFA form for Washington State Financial Aid. The Washington Student Achievement Council has come out helping to rebrand the state financial aid. They're calling it WA Grant. When I learned about that the state legislature has increased funding from the state, we looked at this, and part of our equity inclusion work group also said that this is something that we want to really publicize, make sure that students are aware and families are aware of the opportunities that are there, and really increase our efforts when it comes to FAFSA completion. The WA grant for a family of 4, a family can make up to $73,000, and a student can be eligible for full tuition scholarship at any of the Washington public colleges. And if a family of 4 makes up to $112,500, they can be eligible for some tuition assistance. So not a full tuition scholarship, but still tuition assistance. So there really is an increase in financial aid for students here in Washington State. The FAFSA has a student eligible for Pell Grant as well, which is federal money. But there's a Washington State legislature has really stepped up recently to provide more financial aid from state financial aid. So this is where I wanted Jed to take the lead on organizing our efforts. We have staff dedicated throughout the district, our high school counselors, our family engagement staff, and then reaching out to ESD 105 and the work that we've seen with the Yakima Valley Partners for Education and some increases they've been able to do with local school districts. Just wanted to have one person be our contact, have that be Jed Waters, to pull all this together and have some good plans in place as we look forward to the new FAFSA form coming out in late December or January. So Jed's done a wonderful job of pulling this all together, giving us a plan on how we can increase our impact. And I wanted Jed to share that with the board tonight. So Jed, they're all yours.
Yeah, well, you did a great job of prepping us, I guess, in some of the back parts. So yes, if you overall look at FAFSA numbers, percentage-wise, either district, state, national, some of those numbers are down. We also look at college enrollment as a whole is kind of down. So a lot of it is looking at then, based upon that information and based upon, as Dr. Finch addressed, a lot of it is how do we get the information out there to families and students. We've had, as Dr. Finch addressed, our high school counselors have done a good job. We've had other people come in the past. We're coming off of COVID and some things. But I guess the main part was trying to highlight some of the things that we're doing from here on out to really get that information out on all different opportunities and work with our high school counselors, our family engagement team. A lot of our focus is we need to get, if we're looking at percentage wise, we need to get 100% of the information out to our families. And then of that, our goal will be, we want 100% of those students that need to fill out for financial aid going on to post-secondary to fill out the FAFSA. So if we try to state like we want every student to fill out the FAFSA, that's great. We want to target really what do they need it for and what are their goals and purposes after that. So I'll kind of highlight some parts because our goals are really ideally having every student graduate from the high school here or the Innovation Center with a plan in place. Their high school may have a plan, but with that noted, so we can start to look at, are they going into enlistment in the military? Well, great. We have that path. We have it. Are they going right into employment? Or they already have it? Or are they going into a post-secondary opportunity, which would be enrollment? So we want to make sure we're supporting them that way. Some things that we've already done is looking at for the past, since last spring, we're working with ESD 105 on a high school to post-secondary project. With that, we're collecting information from National Student Clearinghouse on our graduate data, FAFSA data, military apprenticeships. We just completed a staff survey at the high school and at the Innovation Center. So really trying to get background information. So based upon the data of who's completing, who's not, where do we go from here and what are some of our next steps? So looking at that part, one big thing is the family engagement team has they've really started last year almost with Minerva, and they've expanded. Focus before was on migrant education or migrant outreach. Now they've really been able to take on the umbrella of all family engagement. So that's really going to help out because she's got a great team. And now we can utilize them for activities throughout the whole district, not just on part of the population, now all of our population. So that's going to be great there. We start to look at that. District strategic plan really starts to account in for some of this too. So one of the 4 goals looking at the strategic plan really looks on college and career preparedness. So we're starting to put a lot of things in place that are going to help us out. Some other dates we had our ASB members talked about that we had the Pathway to the Top College and Career Expo. Our high school counselors have been going out to the Ramstrongs talking about that. In October and November, students actually just last week got notification on the Guaranteed Admissions Program to 7 different colleges, and we can go on more on that. One of our big things right now is we are just in the process of interviewing for a career and college pathway specialist. This person's role is really to bring together these programs. So we have a lot of things. We have our Rammed Wildcat, we have college and the high school. We have, we talked about Veterans Day was announced. We have a great JROTC program. How do we let students know about the great things they're doing here and how that connects to the future? And we haven't had that position for the past 2.5 years. So that position is really going to pull all these great things that we have going on, the stuff that family engagements us, and really help people know about those. So that's kind of filling a gap on that education part and connecting and also pulling the data. Because sometimes we say, well, if we don't have the data, we don't know if it happens. So that's going to be part of that role, is pulling in the data that way.
And Jed, you might want to share that position is 100% funded by Career and Technical
Yep,
Education.
that's 100% funded by Career and Technical Education. It's a specialist position. We have November 7th coming up, CW's on-the-spot admissions, and some changes to the dates because we just actually had that group that you mentioned today. We had high school counselors meeting today, ESD 105, some of the College Success Foundation. All of us met together on a Zoom today to really lay out some of the next steps that we need to do to reach. So some dates changing already just because we're trying to do the best to react in time. We're looking at December 5th and December 12th. Our high school counselors, along with some other people with resources in the area, are going to come in and talk to our seniors and help them fill out a FSA, which is a federal student aid number. So the students are able to get that number completed by themselves. So they can work with all students doing that. The students need that before they can apply for financial aid. So that'll be in December. Financial aid this year, FAFSA, WAFSA, is not probably out until January. So we've moved back some dates. January 31st, we're looking at having a FAFSA night, and that will actually be a financial aid information night. We have probably like 8 or 9 different community groups coming in to assist with that. So that's kind of the great things that are coming out of this is we have regional experts we can bring in so we don't have to try to fund and get all the information ourselves. That we're looking at having a Spanish session and an English speaking session so we can help with all of our families there. We then moved our second work night to February 7th, and that will be another work night there using the computer labs here and getting information. There'll also be information, as you saw in some of the hands, the college bound, number of different scholarships, another number of different financial opportunities we'll be presenting there. So really trying to pull in more resources for our families, more different community things. That way we can help them out and make sure everybody's informed. And then we have the supports that we need to help them if they need help on that. Minerva's team's also been great about addressing that. Some of our families might have questions about taxes or other financial information. So bring in resources that can help them out and assist them on that part too. So I think the neat part is it's a whole large effort. And over this next year, we're just going to be bringing more people together that either our district has their experts or other community experts, because we don't want to recreate the wheel on this stuff. We can bring in the right people. That's great. So yeah, those are some of the different things that we're doing. And I think over the next few years, just the things we can do with promotion and things, we're going in the right direction.
I have a stupid question. What's FAF stuff stand for?
It's now I'm gonna have to look it up because it's federal financial aid, but I have to look at the whole acronym on that. So free application there, free application for federal, student aid. Yep, yeah. And the WAFSA is Washington's form of that. So if you don't qualify for some things under federal, you can qualify under the WAFSA, which has less requirements.
There must be a top. How much for a student to qualify for that? What is the limit at the top that the parents have to make?
Typically, it can be, there's some numbers on like 70,000 to 100,000, kind of depending on household size. They're doing some changes to some of those things too. That's why if I come up with some numbers now, they're changing it in the new application. The new application also has less questions before, because before it had multiple pages. As you mark off things, they'll kind of track you to the right direction. So your answered questions are pertinent to you, not general questions. Now for a divorced family or a separated family, you pick one of those two incomes, not both of them. So there's some different things. One of the challenges will be if you have multiple students in college, you can only say that you're only filing for that student. So no longer will take into account maybe you have 2 or 3 students that are in college. it's just going to look at that one, so you don't get that discount or the bump of the adjustment of having multiple students in college at one time.
I believe to be eligible even for merit-based scholarships that's allocated by the college,
Mhm.
you do need to fill out the FAFSA.
Yep. So there's a lot of benefits, even if you make over that amount, which is one of the things in educating families. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I make over 100,000, so we're not going to fill it out. There is, your work study. There's a number of other programs, scholarships that require you to have that FAFSA filled out. So I think that's a lot of the education, is letting our families know that if you are going into a post-secondary, whether it be 2-year, 4-year, something along those lines, you should fill out because it has these benefits. So that is be our goal, is really informing people about it and then assisting them as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
Reading in the literature, the FAFSA and the WAFSA are a little bit confusing. The WASPA
Yep.
is not only for Washington State schools, correct?
You can.
Or is that only for Washington State schools?
I believe the WASPA is there because some students are not eligible for federal financial aid due to their immigration status. And so Washington State does provide college assistance for students, regardless of their immigration status. So I believe it is just for WAFSA is just for Washington State, because you access Washington State financial aid by filling out that WASFA form.
So institutions in the state.
Correct.
And if they fill out one, they don't have to fill out the other.
Typically what you do is you'd fill out one or the other one. So a lot of time WAFSA would be undocumented or other areas that you wouldn't qualify for the FAFSA. So that's where I defer to a lot. We have a lot of experts. And the neat part is with College Success Foundation, we just talked to Amber. Her job is just in the Yakima Valley to help out and assist and know all the things. So she's doing all the training. So that's where you can bring them in. Then a family can sit down and go through their documentation. Be like, here's what we have. What do we fill out? How do we do that? And then we're looking at too is being able to assist them one-on-one. So if a family has questions, they don't have to do in a large group ask all those questions. We can then break up into February and March and help assist those students. So the great thing is there's a lot of resources in our community, people that are experts on this, and they're willing to help. So that's the neat thing, is we can offer all that through the school here without having to, fund extra things or take time away. So
Dr. French stated that, for college, so the WAFA or however you say it, that particular source of funding is going to apply to college, trade schools, whatever. It's going to help those kids follow whatever pathway we provide for them. Is that correct?
yeah, a lot of them. Otherwise, there are other options too. Depending on if you're looking at there are some private institutions that may have take some of that, but not all of that, or there's other ones. So I'll say come to January 31st. You'll get a lot more information, because that's when we'll have our experts here. My successful part in this is pulling together these experts that then, as we identified, they all have pockets. So we pull them all together and then they can create one great thing with all the new and updated information for our families.
I just want to reaffirm what Mr. Myers said. The WA grant, which is state financial aid, that can be applied to any 2-year or 4-year college in Washington State. So I've gone on the Washington Student Achievement Council website and seen, there's a big long list there. So it's not just the 4-year colleges.
Yeah, I think they have like 70 some institutions that take that.
Two questions. I guess a question and a comment. When I look at the sheet that you sort of the timeline, October 3rd through, are we focusing? It looks like we're focusing mostly on seniors at this point, right? But if you had a sophomore or a junior, are they welcomed? Or are those parents notified of these meetings? Maybe should they be?
You wouldn't fill out the financial for the senior year, but I think that's something that I mentioned here is a lot of it will be getting ideally, we're going to create a website that'll have a lot of this information, and that way, because right now we have a Google Classroom, but parents can't see that. So our goal will be to get this information out, have it by classes, but also so any parent of a high school student can see this and plan. Our counselors do a good job of sending out some emails, but if we can have that website that has that information all the time. So a lot of it is coming up. I have a senior this year, and a lot of it comes out of some of the questions I have as well. So I think that's our goal, is really, how do we promote this? Because we have a lot of great opportunities. The state has a lot. There's lots of great things out there in our community. It just is getting that information and getting that information out in a way that people can easily access it, because sometimes things get buried, or if it's an email. So That'll be our goal, is getting that out there so all families can plan for the future. And that's kind of what that high school and beyond, some things we're looking at with some programming is how do we, even in 7th and 8th grade, thinking about that future and then what those financial things may be as far as what source of education you go to or what career in the future.
So my comment to that is I'm going to preface my remark by indicating that I have a sophomore that goes to Gonzaga that went through West Valley during, when she would have been a sophomore and a junior. That was, during the COVID years. We weren't at school. So I'm gonna preface my remarks with that. As a parent,
sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, sir. As a parent, I feel like I wasn't educated enough. I wasn't given those resources enough, and I'm plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm having a difficult time, that's just my comment, just my feedback. I really like what I'm hearing, and it's great that we have seniors that we're focusing on the seniors, and everything that you say, I completely agree. But it's a completely different world applying for college today than it was when we all were applying to go to college. It's a different thing. And to that end, my second comment is one of the things that has dramatically changed in terms of now we're talking about college admission.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't just focus on that, but that's what I'm focused on right now. And that is, in addition to, the FAFSA and the WAFSA, which, is important for all of the things that we've talked about, particularly if you're a merit-based scholar and so forth, for merit-based scholarships. I think the other thing that is very difficult for parents to navigate, and I know it was for us, was the notion of the SAT and ACT now being optional at most all colleges and universities. And in my house, we had a fairly spirited conversation about whether or not our child should take that. And I think that, and again, I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if they should. I mean, yes, it's optional, but should you be doing it? Because I think my observation is that with my student, I think that she had 1 A- in her career here at West Valley. And what frustrated me was she was not admitted to the University of Washington. I called Dr. Finch and I said, well, if my student who's involved in extracurriculars, a great resume, a terrific student, can't get into the University of Washington from West Valley High School, that's a problem. And so the difference was, well, maybe, we should have encouraged her to take the SAT. I don't know if that's fact or not, but my comment is a little less about the FAFSA and more about we need to help educate our parents, because it is a much different world today in applying to college than it was 25, 30 years ago. So sorry, I kind of rambled.
No,
I'm pretty passionate about this. I mean, and I'm thrilled where she is, and she's doing great, and she's where she needs to be. But and that's another issue about it's great that we have these programs that if you have a grade point average from West Valley, but it's very frustrating that the University of you cannot get into a public institution with nearly a 4.0 grade point average from this school. That is not a guaranteed situation. And that's highly frustrating to me. More as a school board member for our kids, more than anything else.
No, but your point on getting the information out there is well taken. And I think we've heard that, a number of times. So that's really why this position for that career and college pathway specialist is really that program part of how do we get the information out there, not only on college, but on different employment things, apprenticeship, other options that we have in the area of the military. So we have a lot of strong programs here that go to all routes, and then helping students understand that you can go right into employment and then you can go on to a 2-year or 4-year after that. So it's not just you pick one, and that's the only route you get. So it's going to be neat to see where we can go in the next year with that part, to really let people know, because you or many other parents, the same thing is there's a lot of information. My son's a senior now, and it's like, it could be a part-time job just trying to figure out college. So we're going to try to help at first on that bigger level to get the information out there. And then maybe eventually we can help more on that student to student. But there's a lot of these local resources that we can have that will come in and do student to student once a week. So as we start to connect with them, we'll be able to do more across the board. So I'm looking forward to this spring and then into the future and what we can do.
Can I add something
Yeah.
there too? Is this on?
Yes.
Mr. Thorne, I'm so glad that you shared that with me, because my daughter experienced the same thing, nearly a 4.0. She did not take the SAT in spite of her parents' encouragement to her, and she did not get into
University of Washington.
thank you, UW. And it just comes down to some additional guidance to encourage the kids at this point. If you're interested in some of these other schools, maybe you should take the SAT. I don't know if that's being encouraged or not, but she got the same message. It was optional, and she didn't take it and was highly disappointed she didn't get in. And we couldn't understand it either. So hearing that now just kind of rings some bells in my mind. What's going on?
And
here?
the colleges are very iffy too, because they'll say, well, you can go ahead and take it, but if you take it and you send us your numbers, well, it might help you or might not. We're test blind, and if you take it again, then every college is different, and every person that you talk to from a college is different, and how they look at that, if they look at it, and then if it's going to help you or hurt you. So I wouldn't say it's a gamble, but it can kind of be if you don't know going in what the score will be. But I think that, there's a lot more we can go on, but we probably got to move on to the next board
No,
meeting.
but I
Yeah,
think the point is, and not that it's just the University of Washington that we're focused on. I just think there just needs to be better education about this optional SAT or not. Is it really optional?
Mhm.
What does that really mean? And I appreciate that it's school to school different, but it's like I said, that's part of the navigation of in trying to get your kid to college in 2023.
And Jen, I have a few other things.
Yeah.
How many kids from West Valley went to the Sundome on October 5th?
We had 130 come. So on that day, we had it optional for the seniors. It was the first time it was done at the Sundome, and we wanted us to take a smaller group the first time to transport everybody over the Sundome, knowing that there was going to be a number of other schools there as well. Everything went well. They had 80 plus employers. Some of the neat things where it wasn't just a college fair, they really focused on, it was about half employers. We had military options there. They had a helicopter there, some other things. So all of our students really got a well-versed. There's some other community service groups there. So I know next year they're looking at expanding it. They'll probably have, knowing Shelley O'Neill that helped set it up, they'll probably have 150, 160 there. But it was a great thing. So next year, the way everything ran well, we're looking to take more of the seniors. It was great because as we're finding out, a lot of seniors are still trying to decide, and a lot of those connections were laying out that foundation for them. So the senior class is good. I think if we took sophomores, it's good information. But if we were going to focus on a class to take, because of the size, we can't take half the school because it's a lot to transport that many students. So I think continuing to focus on that seniors, and that next year probably being about a week before this. So about mid-October is when they're going to do it. It's prime time because applications are just starting. Students are thinking, and then there's employers that they can connect with. And then if they want to go right into like be a lineman or all the different cool jobs we have in our area, Apple Tree was there. There's a number of different local employers that could hire to say, hey, here's a business card, call us in 6 months and set up a job interview. So I think there's gonna be some neat things coming out of that, along with I do have a career expo planned for the spring. That's employment one for our seniors as well. So we'll be looking to take them there, and then they can get jobs a month or two after graduate, or a month or two after that employment fair, right after graduation.
Any thought about bringing something like that into the school, like during student-led conferences or during that time where we can get more visibility into school and kids and parents into the school?
They had that up until this was the first year that did it. So we had it done it 5 or 6 years before COVID. Then last year, what it got to be was actually Shelley O'Neill started. So West Valley was the first school to do that probably 7, 8 years ago. It started to grow where more schools wanted to attach on. So they ended up going here in the morning and then at another school in the afternoon. They did that like 8 days in a row. So to put that together for 8 days in a row got to be pretty difficult, especially with some of those reps or different businesses that came in to take that much time. It was great because then last year we did bring all of our junior and senior class and they did well. we'll probably look at trying to, with this new position, bring in some of those employers and those other things to maybe do like a TED Talk or some small focus groups around students that are really interested in that topic. Take a large group over there, but try to bring in more people to small group, things like that. And kind of, along those lines, we got teachers next month. We're setting up some tours to take some high school or some mid-level high school and then some elementary to Treetop to do a tour there to get them involved in seeing what some of the careers are in our area.
And then December 5th and 12th.
Yep.
You said that, is that going to be during school that
Yep.
that's happening?
Yep, that'll be during their Ram Strong. So that we'll meet in the auditorium. They can walk them through the information and really walk the whole senior class right through there between the 2 days. So they'll have that, and that's the student part. So students can set up that number, and then later on that number will be used as their family applies.
And then my last one.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things that I think that has happened is the GAP program. And I don't think people know about that. Can you talk in depth about it? I don't know, in depth, don't take a whole lot of time, but it's a super cool program for our kids and our families. And I don't know if everybody completely understands what that means.
Well, the other thing, this guaranteed admissions program that Mr. Mokel just talked about, I just thought every school district was doing it because to me, it's a no-brainer. It's such a great advantage for students. But I learned that only about 29% of school districts in Washington State have actually done the paperwork to have their kids take advantage. Jed was right on top of that when it came out as a pilot. And he basically came running into my office and said, "This is amazing." And I said, "Let's do it." So just, can you share about the guaranteed admissions
So
program?
any graduating senior that has over a 3.0 for, let's say, the 6 public institutions, and they meet their CATERS requirements, which would be like your 3 years of math, a lot of, we really have them built into our graduation, pathway here in our graduation requirements. So if you meet your CATERS requirement, graduate with above a 3.0, you're guaranteed admissions into really any state school except for, now it's UW Tacoma you're guaranteed, but not the main UW campus. So, so the seniors get a letter about this time of the year, and we do grade submissions. So we have to submit. So there is some data that we submit. There's a release form if a family does not want their data submitted to that, but it's a great program. They get information right from the college that says, "Hey, you're admitted, but you still need to apply, but we've already said you meet our benchmark." So it's a win-win, because for the colleges, it gives them a pool of students that already meet their requirements. And for us, it's nice because the students don't have to go outreach, do the applications. Now we have Common App. We have some things that are helping streamline the process, but it is a great thing that helps us. Juniors get a letter that says, "Hey, you're on track to meet this. Keep working hard in your classes, keep taking these classes, and you'll be there." So, and then our other one is PLU, Pacific Lutheran University. They're our other partner there. So they have a few different, you have to have above a 3.0, but you don't have to meet the CATERS. So it's a little bit different there. But
And then one app and one fee.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
every time you apply.
Yep. And if you have a senior that wants to go to Central, they come on November 7th. We'll have a bunch of admissions people right here. And if you are a senior on November 7th, you can apply for Central, no cost. And typically what they do is they have a printer going, and that printer will be running scholarships. So they'll look at your GPA. They work with our counselors. They get all your transcripts right there. They say, "Hey, you meet the scholarship." They give you a sheet of paper that says, "Hey, here's $1,500. When you come, you already have that scholarship." So last year when we did it, we had 45, I think, students that then applied and were admitted right to Central on that day. So we're looking to do the same thing now, and then maybe again come January, February. So a lot of great things, not only on the college front, which we focus on more here, but a lot of great employment things. We're only going to keep growing those things because again, half of our students are not going on to post-secondary, but they're doing some successful things. But our goal is to make sure that we have them leaving here with some pathway to success.
Thank you very
Yep.
much.
On a lighter note,
Thanks,
Dan, I, as an old cougar, why would somebody be disappointed not?
All right, item 7, public comment. Tonight, we do not have any discussion items, so public comment can be effectively on anything that any member of the public would like to address the school board on. Nobody signed up for public comment tonight, so I'll open it up for anybody that would like to address the board at this time. Mr. Liebrick.
So you asked me about some questions before I decided to become a teacher. I used to work at WVSD in admissions. And I can answer actually some of those questions because I know they haven't changed. So to answer your question about the University of Washington, last year in 2022, they received 57,000 applications for about 3,000 spots. So even if you have a student with a perfect GPA, it's still not a guarantee. The other thing you have to consider too, and I'm sure Mr. Waters will include this in his materials, different schools do different admissions differently. So some schools have open admissions that are rolling. So as soon as a student applies, they meet the requirements, great, admitted, and they'll do it till they're full. Other schools like the University of Washington, they open up a period for a very brief window. They rank everybody against each other, and that's how they make their decisions. So that's a big part of it. The other thing too about your test questions, I worked in admissions for 5 years. I never once looked at a test score other than to see if it was submitted. The only time I ever looked was if I had to for financial aid applications. And even then, they affect such a small handful of admissions decisions. Every school does do it differently, but they don't play as big a role as people think they do. So even in the schools that still accept them. So I hope that helps that part. I never once looked ever, unless financial aid required me to.
I normally would not respond to public comment. I'm going to just restate what I said.
Sure.
And again, it's not just only about the University of Washington, but they are a public institution in this state. West Valley graduates with nearly a 4.0 grade point average and resumes like Mr. Strong's daughter and my daughter that cannot get into that school, understanding the numbers, we should be concerned about that.
That part I don't disagree with.
That's what I'm trying. That's my main point. And that's really it. And we need to examine the why is that. When they do that ranking for those few spots, that's what I guess I'm trying to say is that's an issue.
I did look it up just because I knew you were going to ask me that. The Seattle campus admitted Washington residents at a 54.8% rate.
Again, I mean, I can continue to be frustrated. I mean, I'm aware of these numbers.
Sure.
Those are some other problems that the state has and that university has.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying that we can, I'm going to say something that's probably controversial, which is the University of Washington is probably the most prestigious public university in this state.
Well, hold on there.
But
I wouldn't go
but
far.
I mean, we can argue about that. But the point is it's a public university in this state, and our students need to be at the top of the list if they're achieving the kind of grades and the quality of students that we're putting out.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Sure. No, I agree with everything.
I
you
don't
said.
have the answer. I can point out the issue though.
Well, I mean, I just thought you'd want to know.
Thank you.
I could agree with Mr. Thorner on that, but then we'd both be wrong.
Does it make a difference at the University of Washington if they can play football?
It used to at WSU, but to be determined.
Thank you, Mr. Liebrich. Mr. Matthews.
So just a couple interesting comments. I took a look just as we were sitting here through the P card expenditures, and it seems about 70% of the P card expenditures are at Amazon.com. So, I know that is an easy resource. It's an easy resource for me. I wish we had some better opportunities to use local vendors to facilitate, routine seasonal purchases that might make sense. So I know, again, that takes time away. My Amazon card is often full. From an enrollment report perspective, Dr. Finch, I would ask if perhaps we could get the presentation that shows by classroom student count. As produced this month, it is simply an enrollment by grade and by building, rather than the kind of count by classroom. And then
You're talking about at the elementary level.
Yes, I'm sorry, correct.
Sorry.
Yes. And then I talked with Mr. Connolly just a minute ago. Exhibit A to the architect's agreement is not in the public packet. So I would ask that be confirmed before you guys sign.
Okay. I'm going to close the public comment period. On to item 8 is approval of consent agenda. As per usual, we have approval of minutes from October 10th, approval of vouchers and payroll, financial reports, approval of employment contracts, approval of resignations, retirements, and separations, and approval of leave requests. Unless there's any pullouts, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jager. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries on the consent agenda 5-0. Item 9A, approval of travel requests, and we had one additional one late today.
That is on there, the
Yeah.
girls' high school swim team, November 9th through 11th. We want to make sure we got that for pre-approval because our next board meeting isn't until after that event.
Correct. We can also take these as a group if the board, if that's okay with the board. I'll make a motion to approve the travel requests 1 through 5. A call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries on the 5 travel requests 5-0. Next up is approval 2310-735 unclaimed property, and this is a yearly exercise. Dr. Finch.
Yes, this is they're called warrants. They're like checks from the district that are unclaimed. One is for $38.94, and the other is $35.
And hearing that, I'll recommend that we approve resolution 2310-735.
Thank you. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries on resolution 2310-735 unclaimed property 5-0. On to item 9C, approval of resolution 2310-736 certification of 2024 excess property taxes. Dr. Finch.
So this is annually, we set the certification for the property tax for the upcoming year. And so there is a deadline for doing that. We recommend approval for resolution 2310-736.
Any questions from the board? The rate per thousand will go down because the assessed value went up.
Right.
Mr. Conley is shaking his head or nodding his head up and down.
That's
So, okay. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2310-736. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries 5-0. 9D, approval of turf field track and bleacher project. We heard earlier about this. There was a memo. Anything additional?
Really nothing to add. The memo covers everything. We do need approval so we can get things ordered and be ready to move. Like Joe said, as soon as track season's over and get the construction going so that we can be ready for fall sports season next year.
Great. I'd entertain a motion to approve the turf field track and bleacher project as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item 9E, approval of A&E fee proposal and contract for Designs West. Exhibit A, it was the actual contract itself, the AIA.
There is a fee schedule. That's the $990,000. They broke it down, which I'm happy to kind of break down each element of that if you guys would like. And I will get that on the website as soon as possible.
Well, wasn't that? I thought I saw. I mean, I don't know what was on the public website. I thought I saw that in the
contract, and then on the very bottom it says, look at Exhibit A, and it breaks down each element of the $990,000 of the not to exceed amount. And so I can add that to the website as far as that goes, but the memo talks about the totality of it, whereas basic A&E services is 770 and specialty A&E services 220. So I will go through each one of these as far as just to make sure it's in public. So the basic A&E services, the schematic design phase, which is 15%, is 115,500. The design development phase, which is 20% of the project, is 154,000. And understand this is all projects. So we might not utilize it, but this is not to an exceed amount. Construction documents phase, which is 30%, is 231,000. Bidding phase, 3%, 23,100. Construction administration phase, 30% at 231,000. And the closeout phase, which is 2%, which is 15,400, which in totality equals $770,000. Then you have the specialty AE services, the field track and landscape stadium on site, which is with Bernardo Wills, is 170,000. Civil engineering stadium, which is by Jubb Engineers, 15,000. Civil engineering landscape with the Mountain View parking lot, Jubb Engineers, 10,000. Survey stadium, Jubb Engineers, 25,000. Everything else is included in that is a total of $220,000, which equals $990,000.
So I'm surprised I didn't catch this.
I'm surprised I didn't catch it as well.
Well, I mean, so, you know, what you just articulated, which is clearly listed as an Exhibit E, is just, it's an omission from the actual AIA contract.
Correct, because it's a separate document. So
Right, so we just need to make sure that
Correct.
that tracks with what you just articulated.
And that will be on the website tomorrow morning.
Correct.
Exactly.
So that page or pages were for Exhibit A was omitted. But I still think we can go ahead and approve the contract tonight, subject to that omission in accordance with what Mr. Conley just indicated. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
Perfect, thank you.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jager. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries on the approval of the Design West contract 5-0. Thank you. On to item 10, items arising. Okay. Item 11, reports.
Just in your packet there's the enrollment report, safety report, travel log report, and the positive behavior intervention supports report from Richard Pryor. As you remember, we asked Richard to give us a monthly update, so I appreciate his follow through on that.
Great. Superintendent's report.
Superintendent's report provide information about the boundary petition. Just an update on that. That was two families had petitioned to move their property from the Yakima School District to the West Valley School District. And so that is still going to be in development. The community board voted to approve the petition. The vote was 3-2. That was administered by ESD 105. Yakima School District has appealed that decision, and so that will be administered by an administrative law judge. Also, there was a request to provide information about the Healthy Youth Survey. So I provided that in the report. It's been administered in Washington State since 2002. Parents can have parent rights to opt out of having their student take the survey. The West Valley School District did not undertake an exemption process for all students in grades 8, 10, and 12 because parents have parents' rights to opt out.
On the property thing, Dr. Finch, that refers to the additional properties that asked to be drawn into West Valley rather than the first two.
Correct. Yeah. In 2021, there was one parcel. Yakima School District approved that because the majority of their parcel, this is in the Inglewood Heights area, a subdivision, and the boundaries of the school districts run right through these people's property. So a portion of their property is in the West Valley School District and a portion of their property is in the Yakima School District. Of course, the parcel isn't, their taxes aren't split between the two districts. So the first in 2021, there was a petition to move from the Yakima School District to the West Valley School District. That was approved by both school districts, and so that was completed without any contention there between the two districts. So that was 2021. Then in 2023, earlier this year, two additional property owners in that same subdivision made a similar petition. And so that's the one that's basically in contention right now. That was approved by a community board administered by ESD 105. And then that approval has been appealed by the Yakima School District, and they're appealing that. It goes to OSPI. OSPI assigns an administrative law judge. And so the administrative law judge will hear the appeal. That'll be coming up in November.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Item 13, board reports, board development. All right. Item 14 is an executive session on performance of a public employee. Dr. Finch, what do you think? 30 minutes?
But maybe I'd say 20 minutes.
20 minutes in executive session for performance of a public employee. So we will come out of executive session taking no action. And then after the executive session, we will adjourn. So we will, it's 8:01, so 8:21 for 20 minutes. And then we'll either extend or we'll adjourn the meeting at that time. Very good. Thank you. We are extending the executive session to 8:30.
tell them that they're using. Did they get everything signed that they need signed?
Here, I have your.
I can give those to you in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, it is 8:31 and we will adjourn the meeting.